On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Robert Edward Mitchell, file number 22-02635. Council appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Robert Palmer, Public Defender's Office, appearing on behalf of Robert Mitchell, who appears today via polyconference in the County Jail.
Today's the date and time that's set for sentencing. Let's see, do I have a pre-sentence report? Should be. Oh. Did you get a copy of the pre-sentence report?
Yes, ma'am. The court staff sent it to me a couple of days ago. I did meet with Mr. Mitchell yesterday, and we did have an opportunity to review this PSI.
Okay, and is there need to make corrections, updates, or deletions?
Yes, ma'am. I have a couple of which I can provide whenever the court's ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. First of all, with regards to custody or jail credit, it has 72 days credit, which the dates of incarceration listed there are correct, and that is a 72, but I believe he should also have 2 days from his original arraignment on the file way back.
Actually, not a PR bond.
I think he was, as I understand it, he was arrested, spent the night in jail, and then was arraigned the next morning.
I'm trying to see how many 72 days. Oh, it's from June 1st. Bond convert. Okay, so you're saying he was arrested when?
On this file, I believe he was arrested on October 12th and arraigned on October 13th.
Okay.
So I think that would add 2 days to make his total jail credit 72.
Okay, I'll give additional 2 days credit. Any other changes?
Yes, ma'am. Immediately to the right of that box on the front page of the PSI, it says detainers are pending charges. It indicates that there is a bench warrant in Eaton County. That bench warrant has now been cleared. He does have an active case. He's not had a probable cause conference in that matter yet, but that warrant has been cleared. Additionally, he has and I bring this up mainly because this is going to have a big impact on my argument with regards to the sentencing today. He also has a pending case before Judge Jamo of the 30th Circuit Court. The court's knowledge, the file number in that is 2300496FH. He has already entered a plea with Judge Jamo. He has a sentencing date set for September 27th of this year.
What did he plead to?
He pled to felony possession of methamphetamine.
Okay. So your argument is he can get treatment over there.
Yeah, that's essentially exactly where I'm going with that
I agree.
argument. Yes.
Because he's already got 74 days here.
Yes, ma'am. And for what it's worth, Judge, Mr. Mitchell acknowledges that he has made a mistake. Certainly, this is a man struggling with an addiction. I will say that Judge Jamo has taken a strong interest in this case, not because of Mr. Mitchell's wrongdoing, but just because of the circumstances and wanting to find Mr. Mitchell help. We did enter a plea, as I indicated. He is on a $100,000 bond in that case, which he is certainly not going to be able to post anyway. The sentencing is set for, excuse me, as I indicated, September 27th. Judge Jamo is actually the one who helped get the bench warrant in Eaton County cleared. For what it's worth, Mr. Mitchell was trying and had written to Eaton County multiple times trying to get the warrant out there cleared so that that case could start in process. We had no luck whatsoever on that until Judge Jamo actually finally, on his own, picked up the phone and called that court to get that going so that we could try to go forward. My understanding is that Judge Jamo has already started looking at treatment options for Mr. Mitchell. I certainly believe that any sentence he receives there will contemplate treatment options. So I think that to the extent that this PSI is recommending treatment, I think that that issue can be addressed. Additionally, I want to point out that Mr. Mitchell has not been simply sitting in the jail doing nothing. He's involved in essentially all of the programming. He's involved in CATS. He's involved in RISE. Mr. Mitchell made it through the 11th grade, but he's now in the process of trying to obtain a GED through the Ingham County Jail. And Mr. Mitchell, for the court's knowledge, Mr. Mitchell has an interesting case. He and I actually have, on a personal level, quite a bit in common. He and I are about the same age. We both grew up in kind of rural communities, farming. What's interesting about Mr. Mitchell is that his criminal history really didn't start at a young age. It stemmed from, he suffered a pretty nasty back injury as part of a farming accident. Originally, as a result of being laid up, and he was prescribed a number of different painkillers and opiates, as I understand it, those kinds of things. And that addiction kind of set in as a result of that. Mr. Mitchell, as he has indicated multiple times in his written statements in this PSI, and as he has indicated to Judge Jamo as well, Mr. Mitchell is certainly interested in treatment. This is a good man who's made some mistakes. I absolutely think he's capable of moving forward. I would ask that the court consider granting him time served, simply because Judge Jamo is already on the treatment aspect of it. And I think that any treatment concerns the court might have may be better addressed by the probationary term and treatment that he's going to have over that.
So, did your client want to make a statement at all?
Mr. Mitchell, would you like to make a statement?
No, not at this time.
Okay. I reviewed the pre-sentence report and the recommendation, and I also have a copy of your criminal history, and I recognize that you do have some matters pending. It looks like the bench warrant's been cleared. We'll note that here in the file. But you got a felony drug-related charge that you're going to be sentenced on before Judge Jamo, and for your attorney's indications to the court, it sounds like Judge Jamo is preparing to make sure that the underlying issue is addressed, and I think that would be a venue most appropriate to have that taken care of, considering you've been sitting on this matter for already 74 days. It's in the interest of judicial economy to just go ahead, give you credit time served on this matter, and then this one will be resolved, and that'll free you up, because it would make no sense for you to be on probation here and then JMO have to put you on probation, and then you have a duplicate of efforts being made here. So we'll do credit time served, and you'll close out this file. There is a $75 crime victim right plus $50 state minimum cost that was assessed, and that will be referred to collections. Okay.
Great.
Do you have any questions today?
I do not.
Okay, well, good luck to you in your recovery. Any additional matters for the record today?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're all set.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go find him for you.
He went down to talk to his client.
This client?
Oh, yes.
Well, wouldn't be a good idea to do that at 9 o'clock.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is present, Your Honor. And Patrick Hayward is downstairs.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Davis, file number 21-03352, council appearance.
Jeff Brodowitz on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. John Abbott with the Public Defender's Office representing Anthony Davis. Mr. Davis is standing to my right.
Okay, today's the day set for a review. Did we get a competency report? We don't have a competency.
We haven't even had an interview yet.
They usually send me a letter letting me know something, that, hey, we're gonna schedule it, and
I have nothing.
we've gotten nothing. Okay, sounds good. I refer to the forensic that long. This is what we need. We'll have our staff follow up with the forensic center and see what's going on there. We'll reset the review date. Yes, please. September 15th at 8:30. September 15th at 8:30. If we do hear back and they schedule it after that time, then I'll just reset the review date. No sense in us coming in September 15th. He's going to be interviewed after that. But we need to hear something from them, and we haven't heard anything.
Beg your pardon, Your Honor, what's the new date?
September 15th at 8:30. Okay, so we'll get an update for the forensic center and see what's going on there with our order for him to undergo evaluation, which I see here in the file. Any additional matters for the record today?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor.
Your Honor, could I address the conditions of bond, please?
You can.
Mr. Davis is wearing a tether on his ankle. He's been wearing it since January. He's had no problems, no violations. He's currently treating on a regular basis with CMH, meeting with a counselor there and staying on the proposed proper medications. I'd ask the court to consider releasing him from the tether.
I removed the tether. You can have the tether removed today. You gotta go back to where they put it on. Is that at the jail? Yeah, you gotta go back out there and they'll remove it. Don't self-remove unless you want a felony. Thank you. Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing from the defense.
They're all set.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Same to you. Do we know where Feigelson is?
Just told me to we have to go back.
So we're going, you have rooms? Suesto?
Yes.
And we're treating that as a PTC?
No, that one,
No, we're running Suesto?
yes.
Okay. Are you ready to run that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Well, just want to say I need some exhibits for it. But other than that, yes.
Okay. On the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Miguel Angel Suasto, file number 23-02243. Council appearance.
Jeff Bradowitz on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Wayne Sullivan from Office of Public Defender on behalf of Miguel Suasto, who is standing near the podium at the council table.
Okay. And so this is date set for preliminary examination. Any matters before we proceed?
I would just need some exhibits marked, Your Honor.
Well, you can actually mark them as we admit them at this
Okay.
point.
Then nothing from the people, Your Honor.
You call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would call Isabel Van Fossen.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury? There. There's a microphone that's in front of you. The lady behind you is my court reporter. She has to take down everything being stated here today. So your responses must be loud and clear. They also must be verbal. You can't do head nods or head shakes or mm-hms and uh-hs, okay? There may be objections made by either of the attorneys. If you hear an objection, you would immediately stop speaking. I will make a ruling on that objection, and then I'll tell you if you can give that response or not, okay? Please state your first and last name and spell both of them.
Isabel Van Fossen.
Can you spell them both?
ISAEL. Van Fossen. V as in Victor, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, FOSS.
Thank you. Proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Van. You can keep your voice up a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. Ms. Van Fossen, do you know an individual by the name of Miguel Suasto?
Yes.
And how do you know that individual?
He was my boyfriend
Okay, and how long did you two see each other?
about a year.
Oh. And do you see that individual here anywhere in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please indicate where he's sitting and an article of clothing he's wearing?
Sitting over to my left. Do you have a contract?
Please let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
Any objections?
No,
Identification?
Your Honor, we'll stipulate.
Identifications noted.
So, Ms. Van Fossen, were you with Mr. Suasto on the morning of July 21st, 2023?
Not in the morning, no. I got there around 10 at night.
Okay, but were you there? Was that
Oh, when it hit midnight.
was that 10 at night on July 20th or 21st?
The 20th.
Okay.
I got it. And then I called the cops the next morning.
Okay, so you were there, what would be, some people consider late night or early morning on the 21st?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the address that you were at with Mr. Suasto?
201 Allen Street, Lansing.
All right, and that's located in the city of Lansing,
Yes.
in Ingham County?
Yes.
And did anything happen on that date?
Yes.
Okay, well, I should say you previously mentioned that you called the police. What led you to call the police on that date?
He hurt me pretty bad.
Okay. So when you say he hurt you, can you describe that? So, well, we'll go back a little bit. How did that, when you came over to Mr. Suasto's residence, why did you come over to his residence that night?
I was working until 9 and he wanted me to come over and spend the night. And I brought him some food and we started fighting. He hurt me.
Okay, so when you say you started fighting, was that a physical altercation, verbal altercation?
Started off as verbal and then physical.
Okay, and so when you say then that he hurt you, can you describe for the court a little bit what you mean by that?
So at first he hit me hard in my head, on the left side, by my ear, and the side of my face. My ear was ringing really bad. And then we went more to the verbal fighting. And then after that, he bit both of my shoulders. He strangled me multiple times.
So when you say he strangled you, did he, can you describe what you mean by strangled a little bit?
Both hands are on my neck, holding tight.
Okay.
For
And
multiple seconds.
could you breathe at that point, or did you?
I could not
I'm
breathe.
sorry, Your Honor, I couldn't catch her last response, not to this this question, the one in the.
You said he strangled you and did what, ma'am?
He had both his hands on my neck, holding tightly. I could not.
Oh, you said hold it tight.
Yes.
I think she indicated the duration. I didn't.
The duration, I would say roughly 10 seconds.
Thank you.
Not breathe.
Before Mr. Stawasto began strangling you in this altercation, did he do anything else?
Before strangling me.
Yes.
He hit me a few times and bit me.
Did he ever do anything else to your neck?
Besides strangling it.
Yes.
No, he could have scratched it while he was
Okay.
going to grab onto it.
I am going to show you at this time. Actually, scratch that for a second. So you said he strangled you for roughly about 10 seconds, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then what happened after he let go?
After you let go, I was laying down. I couldn't move my feet.
Okay. Did you ever get back up to your feet
Yes.
after that? And then what happened after you got back up to your feet?
After I got back up to my feet, I was sitting down on a chair in his room, and he was sitting on his bed, and we were talking. Things were settling down, and he did have my phone. He had my keys. I couldn't use my own phone to call the cops. He had my phone in his pocket, my keys in his pocket, and I waited for a moment. I knew I could get out of his room, and I ran that home and used his roommate's phone to call the cops.
Backing up a little bit, after he was done strangling you, did he ever strike you again?
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
And where did he strike you
On
that
the
time?
left side of my face,
All right, and was that with an open fist or a closed fist?
closed fist.
Okay. So you stated that previously in your testimony that as he was strangling you, he may have scratched your neck, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to show you what I will ask to be marked as people's proposed exhibits 1 through 4. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you what is, and I'm going to ask you to mark as people's proposed exhibits 1 through 4. If you could just permission to approach your own.
Yes.
If you could just take a look at those and then look up at me when you're done looking at those. All right. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes.
And how do you recognize those photos?
Cops took that of me that night.
Okay. And so would you say those are a fair and accurate representation of the way your neck looked that night?
Yeah.
Okay. At this time, the people would move for admission to people's proposed exhibits 1 through 4, Your Honor.
Just stipulate for the purpose of the preliminary examination only that they can be admitted.
Equals 1 through 4 are admitted by stipulation.
All right. So, Ms. Van Fossen, can you please describe for the court what those are pictures of?
Yeah, these are pictures of my neck, marks on my neck, from his hands, from his nails, all around my neck,
Okay. And are those just of one side of your neck or of both sides?
both sides.
Okay. No other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross examination.
How was it arranged that you were gonna come that night?
I got out of work at 9 o'clock at night and said he was hungry, so I picked up some food.
Okay, so let me stop you. You said he was hungry.
Yeah,
He wasn't with you at work, right?
no,
So
no,
did he call you or text you?
text,
He texted you that he was hungry? Did he invite you over?
yes,
Had you been over at that location many times before?
a few times, yes.
So that wasn't unusual, is that correct?
No,
And how did you arrive here?
my car,
Okay. Did you reside at that residence? Did you have a separate residence?
separate.
During the 1-year relationship, did you ever have the same residence?
No.
And was this an interpersonal relationship? Okay,
Is that a yes?
Yes,
it involved intimate relations and everything that goes along with those relationships, correct?
yes,
And it was consensual, correct?
yes,
Had there been prior instances of violence?
yes.
Did you call the police?
I called the police twice in the past before.
Okay. You don't have any children in common, do you? And you're not economically dependent in any way on Mr. Swasto, is that correct? Besides yourself and Mr. Swasto, do you know who else is present at that address at that time, within that address at that time?
He has 2 roommates. One of them was an older woman, her name's Linda,
Mhm.
and there was a younger woman, her name's McKenna or something. I met her only one time.
Okay. Were they present that evening?
Yes,
Okay, was anybody else there besides, then I think that's 4 of them now.
4 of us.
There was 4 of you total. So the 2 roommates, yourself, and Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Where were they when this attack took place?
Their own room.
Okay, and where are those in relationship to the room that you were in?
Miguel's room is the first room. Their rooms are farther back. There's one in the room and one in the back.
In terms of distance, how far away would they be?
Like 5 feet.
Okay, so they're very close,
Yeah,
correct?
very close, very
All right.
small area.
Did you tell the police that you got locked in,
In his room.
that you were, that you were locked in by Mr. Swasto?
I mean, I didn't have my keys or my phone. The door wasn't locked.
Okay, I mean, you were in Mr. Swasto's bedroom, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and is it like most bedrooms where the lock is on the outside to keep people from coming in? It's not on the inside to keep people from getting out, is it?
it's inside to keep people, yeah, it's inside.
It's to keep someone in the room from getting out?
No,
It's to keep people outside the room from getting in?
yes,
All right, so you would have been free to leave?
yes.
When he was scratching you, how did that feel?
I really,
Was it very painful?
yes, it was painful.
Did you scream out?
Yes, I screamed out loud.
Okay. Loudly?
Not very loud,
Okay. Did you cry?
yes,
Okay. And it hurt,
yes,
correct? It hurt a lot?
yes,
Okay. And so did you cry a lot then?
yes,
Okay. Did you yell?
no,
Okay. You indicated that your car keys were in Mr. Swasto's pocket.
Is that a yes?
yes.
How did they get there?
Took them.
Okay, and could you tell us how that happened?
He went through my phone, he didn't like seeing what was in my phone, he took my phone and my keys and put them in his pocket.
All right. Did there come a time when you got your keys back?
Once the cops took them away, yeah,
Okay. And was there a time you got your cell phone back?
yes, same as when the cops had me put it out.
After this attack, did Mr. Swasto make any threats to you to not call the police?
Yeah, he did not want me to call the police.
Did he say that he didn't want you to call the police?
Yes,
Did you tell that to the police?
no,
Okay. Did these injuries, I've looked at the 4 exhibits, did they cause any bleeding?
yes,
Okay, so you had an open bleed?
yes,
Okay, did you require any stitches?
No.
Okay. Where did you get the bleeding treated?
my open bleed was right here.
No, where? Bad question. Did you have to go to a healthcare provider to have treatment?
No,
Did you go to anybody to receive any treatment at all for your injuries?
No,
You indicated that you got scratched, is that correct? Would that be the most common way with like someone's fingernails?
yes,
Okay. And the scratching was enough that it dug into your skin, correct? All right. And did you tell the police that the police were able to actually took those pictures, right? So they could see that?
yes.
Just a few more questions. Did you tell the police that he had bit you on the shoulder?
Yes,
Okay. So you're sure you told them?
yes.
Okay.
They took pictures of my shoulders, I believe.
Okay. When you were telling them things, did it appear that they were writing down what you were telling them?
Yes,
Did you indicate to the police that Mr. Swatso said, "I do not feel remorse and you deserve this"?
yes,
Are those the exact words he used?
yes.
So it's an exact quote, correct? Okay. Did you relate what happened to either of the roommates?
Yes,
Okay.
Linda, yes, she was the one who helped me call 911.
So Linda would be someone that would be able to report at least what it is you told her, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you told anybody else what happened besides the police and Linda?
Yeah.
And who?
My mom, my friend Caitlin, who's in this room today.
Okay.
That's it.
When this attack was going on, did either the roommate or Linda attempt to get into the room?
His room?
Yes.
No.
Did you hear any voices saying what's going on, what's happening?
No.
Did you want to publish your?
Yes, this time, I would seek the public people's exhibits 1 through 4 to the court.
You can publish it and then any redirect.
Just briefly. Just to clarify a few things. So Ms. Van Fossen, you said that when you were being strangled, it was for about 10 seconds or so?
Yeah.
And that you couldn't breathe during that time, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever pass out or lose consciousness at all?
No,
Okay. And did, how, in your estimation, how long did this entire incident take?
I would say an hour or two.
Okay. And is this, was there a history of abuse in this relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And was it at that residence of 201 Allen Street?
He recently moved there. Most of it was.
But had it happened at the previous address?
Yes.
Okay. No other questions, Your Honor?
Thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank
Your
you.
Honor,
Yeah.
he did raise one issue that wasn't brought on either his direct or my cross, which was the length of the incident. May I?
The length of the entire incident?
The entire incident, yes. When you say the length of the incident, do you mean from the time you arrived to the time the police came?
That was a few hours. Police got there around 2 in the morning. I got there around 10 at night.
Let's just go to the physical aspect that you testified to. How long did that portion take?
Half an hour.
Okay, that would be involved in scratching and choking and hitting, correct?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May this witness be excused? May she be excused
Oh,
now?
I apologize, Your Honor. I was writing notes.
No
Yes,
worries.
she will.
Thank you, Ms.
She can be.
Van Fossen. You may be excused from the stand. You can call your next witness.
The people I have to call Officer Donovan Moore.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony is going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. You can have a seat, officer. You can state your first and last names, well, both of them.
Donovan Moore, DONOVANMOORE.
You can proceed, counsel.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Moore.
Morning.
Officer Moore, how are you employed?
Patrol officer for Lansing.
And how long have you been a police officer in Lansing Police?
4 years.
All right, and were you working in that capacity in the early morning of July 21st, 2023?
Yes.
Okay, and how are you dressed on that, or what capacity were you working in on that day?
As a road patrol officer.
And how are you dressed on that day?
Full uniform, driving fully marked patrol car.
All right, and did there come a point in time when your duties took you to 201 Allen Street?
Yes.
And is that located in the city of Lansing
Yes.
in Ingham County?
Yes.
Okay. And why were you dispatched to that location?
Isabel called in reference to domestic. A 20-year-old named Miguel assaulted her.
Okay. And when you arrived there, did you make contact with anyone?
Yes, Miguel opened the door.
Okay. Did you make contact with the caller in this matter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. When you made contact with the caller, can you describe her demeanor?
She was shaking. Looks like she was scared to me. She kept looking over her shoulder, even though I was right there with her. She just kept telling me how afraid she was too.
Okay. And was the caller you called her Isabel? Would that be Isabel Van Fossen?
Yes.
Okay. Did you observe any injuries on Miss Van Fossen?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
May retrieve the exhibits. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as People's Exhibit 1 through 4. You could take a look at those and just look up when you're done. You recognize those photographs?
Yes, I took the photographs.
All right, and are those a fair and accurate representation of the injury, some of the injuries that Miss Van Fossen had that night?
Yes.
And did Miss Van Fossen tell you how she received those injuries?
Yes, she told me that Miguel was scratching her neck, and then she attempted to put some, I believe, ointment or something on it. It hurt.
Okay. Did you obtain any information about the relationship between Miguel and Isabel?
Yes, they were dating for about a year, and then the past 6 months from when I made contact with Isabel, when abuse started happening.
Okay. Did Isabel tell you how? Did she inform you of any other injuries she sustained that night?
Yes, so she told me that she had a bruise on her eye, one of her eyes, from an assault that happened the day before, so the 20th.
Okay. Did she ever inform you that Mr. Sylvester had strength?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about that?
She said that Isabel told me that after she was getting scratched in the neck by Miguel, Miguel put two hands around Isabel's neck, gave a squeeze, she had trouble breathing.
Oh. No other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
Did Isabel ever tell you that the defendant bit her on the shoulders?
Yes,
Did you put that in your report?
I put in there that yes for the injury setting, yes.
No. Yes, we noted you took pictures of the injury, but did she ever tell you that he bit her on the shoulder?
Yes,
Do you believe that it's in your report?
yes,
If you got a copy of the report? I guess I need to look at it closely. If you got a copy, could that refresh your memory?
yes.
My approach on?
Okay.
I'm showing the officer what is page, what page is this? It's page 303 of the incident. You can read that silent for a moment. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Did you see those statements in your report?
What specific statement?
That defendant bit her on the shoulder.
I did not use those words. Underneath the injuries heading though, I talked about all the injuries that are in relationship to the incident between Isabel and Miguel.
I understand that. So your answer is yes. You didn't put in your report that she told that the victim told you to be bitter, did you?
No, I did not put that.
Now you observed the injuries,
Wait, let
correct?
me clear, he didn't put in the report that the victim told her that he bit her at all, or specifically the shoulder?
I put in there the injuries about how all the injuries sustained between Miguel and Isabel between that incident and why she called it that.
Oh, okay.
I did not put in there specifically. words
That there was,
that.
that he bit her, okay.
Okay. So you observed the injuries, correct?
Yes,
You did not observe the infliction of the injuries, though, did you? Because you weren't there.
I was not there.
Okay. Did you take any teeth mark impressions
No,
on the shoulders? Okay. And you were aware that there was allegations of scratching, correct?
yes,
Okay. And part of your duty as the initial responder is to preserve evidence that might be evidence of a crime. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do anything to take DNA or scrapings from Mr. Suazo's fingernails?
no, I didn't.
Thank you.
Just briefly, Your Honor, Officer Moore, in cases like this, based on your training and experience, is it common practice to take any sort of DNA scrapings or anything for scratch marks?
I've taken hundreds and hundreds of messages, but I've never done that with legal answer.
Okay. No other questions, Your Honor. May I republish to the exhibits to the court, Your Honor?
I don't need to see them anymore. Any
Okay.
other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. You
Okay.
can rest.
Defense, you may be excused, Officer Moore. As defense calling witnesses,
No, Your Honor.
you can proceed to
Excuse me, Your
argument.
Honor. No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Proceed to argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would move that this be bound over to the circuit court as charged in the complaint. We heard testimony today from the victim in this matter, Ms. Isabel Van Fossen, and from the responding officer, Officer Donovan Moore. Both individuals testified that that this incident occurred in the early morning of July 21st, 2023, at the location of 201 Allen Street, which is located in the city of Lansing in Ingham County. Both Ms. Van Fossen identified the perpetrator of this as the defendant, Mr. Miguel Suasto, and she stated in her testimony that she had come over to Mr. Suasto's house at his invitation. She had brought him food. A verbal argument ensued that then turned physical. She was then struck in the head several times. She was scratched on the neck, and at one point, Mr. Suasto placed both hands around her neck, squeezing and applying pressure and preventing her from breathing. She stated this lasted for about 10 seconds. She then stated that she was able to get away and call 911. Officer Moore also testified that when he interviewed Ms. Van Fossen after the incident, after 911 was called, that she stated that she was strangled by Mr. Suwasto, and that she had trouble breathing during that incident. Ms. Van Fossen also did testify that she did not pass out of consciousness. However, Your Honor, based on the evidence here presented today, I believe the people have met by probable cause evidence that the defendant, Mr. Miguel Suwasto, did make an assault on Ms. Isabel Van Fossen by strangulation or suffocation by impeding her breathing. So the people would move that count 1 be bound over as charged in the complaint, and count 2, as it is a misdemeanor domestic violence, follow count 1.
As I usually am, I'll be very brief. I'm generally going to oppose the bind over, and I would note that this is a very short preliminary examination, and that it also involves offenses for which that come before this court probably minimally weekly. And so I don't need to argue with the laws. You've heard the evidence, you know what the law is, and so we're going to just generally oppose the bind over.
Thank you. Today was a date set for preliminary examination. The burden is squarely upon the prosecution to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed, and then probable cause sufficient to charge you, Mrs. Suwasto, with the crime. This is not a trial. They don't have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt here. It's a very low burden. It's more than mere suspicion that a crime was committed. I had enough probable cause when the first witness testified. I didn't need the second witness. The elements here for assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder or by strangulation requires that at trial, the people would need to prove that first, the defendant tried to physically injure another person. Second, that at the time of the assault, the defendant had the ability to cause an injury, or at least believed that he had the ability. Third, the defendant intended to cause great bodily harm. Actual injury is not necessary, but if there was injury, you may consider it as evidence in deciding whether the defendant intended to cause great bodily harm. Great bodily harm means any physical injury that would seriously harm the health or function of the body. In this case, it was charged as assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder, or by strangulation. The testimony from our witness here, the victim or alleged victim, Isabel Van Fossen, testified that on the date on or about of July 21st, 2023, she was at the area of 201 Allen Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, which makes venue in this jurisdiction appropriate, and that she was in a dating relationship with you, Mr. Suwasto, and that an altercation ensued that resulted in her being hit a few times. That she testified to being bit, and that the defendant strangled her and held her tight a duration around the neck for about 10 seconds, she believes. That he took her phones and keys after he saw something in her phone that he didn't like, that he struck her with the closed fist on the side of her face. The court reviewed People's Exhibits 1 through 4, which indicates red marks and or scratching around the alleged victim's neck. We did hear a witness, a testimony from Officer Donovan Moore, who reported to the scene, and he indicated at the time the victim appeared to be shaking or scared and fearful, indicating to him that she was fearful and that he noted the injuries. I think he was questioned about whether or not he noted in his report if there were any that the defendant bit the victim. He said he doesn't believe it was noted in his report. I don't have his report. I don't know if he did or not. She testified and said that it happened. That the affidavit of probable cause also noted it. So her testimony gives enough probable cause alone to bind over for circuit court for any questions of fact as to whether or not a violation that rises to the level of assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder or strangulation occurred. So count 1 will be bound over to the circuit court, and count 2, domestic violence, will accompany the felony. Your bind over date is going to be August 23rd. You do not need to appear in court on August 23rd. That's the date that they will get the file at the circuit court from the district court. Your next court date will be a pre-trial in circuit court, and Mr. Silverthorne will be made aware of that. You remain in contact with him, okay, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions at this time for the court? Okay, so. bond was set at 10,000. Personal recognizance to GPS tether with victim notification imposed. You have to be within 2,000 feet of wherever the victim lives, works, goes to school, or otherwise, and you're not to have any contact directly or indirectly or cause any third party to have contact with the victim. Any additional issues today that we need to address?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor.
Nothing from the defendant, Your Honor.
Bond will continue. You're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Good day, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Abbott, I know you said you were here from Hayward.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
think this was for a contempt, P53 contempt violation, but it was that he picked up a new charge, is that what it is? Okay, I'm resetting that. Reset that, we're gonna reset Hayward.
Okay.
Do you know when his court date is in East Lansing?
Check. If I may, Your Honor, Mr. Abbott and I were speaking about this earlier today. I know, at least from our system, that Mr. Hayward was arrested on a new charge. I'm not sure if charges have actually been issued yet by our office, as it's still listed as in screening.
Yeah, I'm just gonna reset it anyways.
Yeah, no, I just,
Also, the no date then.
yeah, I don't
We'll
believe.
put it out 30 days, or he has a court date first or something.
He does, I believe he's got a sentencing date with us.
There's a sentence here on the 8th.
We'll put it on his sentencing date.
That's not on the interview.
He's in custody, where?
He's in custody here.
I'm not sure. We'll find out what's going on there. Okay, and then we have witnesses here on Clark,
Yes, Your Honor.
and then what's going on with Lewis is in custody, that's a waiver. Are you handling, I thought I seen Mr. Mills. Mr. Goodrich, which matter are you here for, Bobo?
Mr. Vogel at 9 o'clock.
Judge, Miss Morris has not checked in yet either. I don't know if she's left Sparrow. Last week she was in at St. Louis, Your Honor. I haven't heard anything. as far as-
And Deatrice Morris?
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like, was she supposed to be here earlier this week or something?
No, she was the victim in the PA 53 sentencing that was scheduled yesterday.
Oh, okay, since I
Yeah.
just saw her name. Okay, my understanding, at least a week ago, is that she was at a facility for mental health, some find good cause to go beyond 21 days.
Just I'll keep your office open if providing waiting for an update.
Set, somebody's being treated as a PCC, that was. Okay, what are we doing with Vogel? Are we running that?
I don't believe the complaining witness is here, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I'll have you check on that.
Yeah.
And then Lenise, Anaya Lenise Johnson, what are we doing with that one?
Ready to proceed on that interview.
We're gonna run that one, supposedly. And then you gotta see if your witnesses are here on that one as well. Not the police officer, so,
Yes.
okay. And then are you running the Martinez one?
No, that'll be Ms. Castleman from our office. I believe she is ready to proceed, Your Honor.
I'm starting hers probably next
Okay.
because
I will
that
let
one's
her,
going to go today.
yeah, I will let her know then.
And I have to be at a MAG event. I gotta leave here at 11. So I didn't need to be looking for anybody at 9. Do you know if your witnesses are here for Boggle?
I do not, and let me go check the hallway, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll
Ryan Howland.
let you do that. And how many witnesses you have on Clark?
It'd be two, Your Honor. They're both here. The officer, plan on running that victim list. It's Officer Ella Brown and then Detective Pete Scation.
Okay, if you can, quickly see if you have witnesses on Boggle, we can address that, and then we'll call the first witness on Clark.
Okay.
Who is the attorney? His attorney? It's a private attorney? I'll call the police and be honest, his attorney's not here, so I can't, I should call. We already have good cause to go beyond. Yeah. Mr. Walker,
Yes,
your attorney is sick, so your attorney's not gonna be here. You knew that?
Yes,
Okay, so we're gonna get you a new court date, okay?
yes, Your Honor.
You're good to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. I gotta get my phone, it won't let me log into the email.
All rise.
Oh, you're fine. You can be seated.
So I do not have the complaining witness here on Boggle, Your Honor.
Mr. Boggle's attorney is Goodrich. You can advise him what without prejudice means. I'll sign a nollie.
See, I'll set into, Your Honor.
Yes, unless he wants a copy of his nollie. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Timothy Michael Clark, file number 23-01118. Council appearance.
Jeff Radowitz on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Your Honor. Excuse me, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Flagel, appearing on behalf of Timothy Clark, who's standing to my right this morning.
Okay. Today was the date set for a hearing for PA-53 violation and then a preliminary examination. You said we are running this victim list.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and at the last court date, there was an issue of phone calls. Did you get a investigator on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're addressing that today?
Yes, that is the PA 53 violation, as well as I will be seeking to add count 3 of witness interference, I believe, Your Honor.
Okay, any additional matters before we proceed?
Just one, Your Honor, I know that the people have conveyed an offer to Mr. Clark, and Mr. Clark rejected that offer. I'd like to have that offer placed on the record. as well as that rejection.
So we'll put that on the record.
Yes, Your Honor, the people had offered that if Mr. Clark were to plea as charged in the complaint, that would be a felony plea in district court to count 1 and count 2 with the second offense notice and the habitual offender second offense notice, then the people would not proceed would not seek to add the third charge of witness interference, and the people would ask the court to not proceed on the PA 53 violation.
And you understand that, officer? Okay, you want to decline the offer? Okay, you can, the offer's been declined and it expires at the start of this exam, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, any additional preliminary matters?
The only other one, Your Honor, I know there's 2 witnesses. I'd ask for sequestration.
Okay, it's 2 officer witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sequestration is granted.
Thank you.
People would call Officer Ella Brown.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury. So please state your first and last name and spell both of them.
My first name is Ella, Ella. My last name is Brown, Brown.
Proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Brown.
Good morning.
Officer Brown, how are you employed?
I work for the Lansing Police Department as a patrol officer,
Okay, and how long have you been with the Lansing Police Department?
7 months approximately.
Okay, and were you working in that capacity on March 7th, 2023? Or sorry, March 6th, 2023?
Yes.
All right, and how were you dressed on that date?
Patrol uniform.
And on that date, did your duties take you at some point to the address of 1220 North High Street?
They did.
All right, is that located in the city of Lansing?
It is.
And is that in Ingham County?
It is.
Why were you dispatched to that location on that day?
We received a call, or I believe it came in originally as a weapons complaint. Or a witness potentially had called saying that there had been a subject there that assaulted an individual inside and left with his firearm.
Okay. So when you arrived at that location, did you come into contact with anyone?
I did.
And who did you come into contact with?
Victim Angelique and her sister, and unrelated or witness.
Okay. Do you know the last name of?
I can't recall off the top of my
Okay.
head.
Can you describe?
Irina, sorry.
Okay. Can you describe her demeanor to the court?
Originally, she was apprehensive in providing a statement or making contact with the police. After further discussing with her, she was willing to provide a statement on the matter.
Okay. And was that when you arrived? Was anyone hurt on the scene?
Hurt, you said?
Yes.
She did not express that she had any injuries.
Okay. And did you obtain any information about the relationship between the person you met, Angelique, and the individual who was called about?
I obtained information that they were previously been in a domestic relationship.
Okay. Do you know how long they've been in a domestic relationship?
I do not recall off the top of my head.
Do you recall if they had any children together?
I do not believe that they did.
Okay. So without telling,
You say you do not believe they did?
I guess I should say I don't recall that they did.
if you saw a copy of your report, would that refresh your memory?
It would.
Okay. Okay. If you can, permission to approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
You can just read this part here, and then done. So, can you recall, did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
All right, and so can you recall about how long they've been in a domestic relationship?
In an on-again and off-again relationship since approximately 2016.
All right, and did they have any children in common?
One infant child.
Okay. And did when you met with her, did Angelique tell you or explain to you what happened that day that led to the police being called?
She did.
Okay. And did you learn when this happened?
Just prior to police arrival.
Okay. And without saying what happened or describing any of it, was there any physical assault that took place that you learned about?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, the people would seek to admit the statements from the victim to this officer pursuant to 768.27C, as I believe all the requirements have been met in this matter. The statement, while the victim did not complain of any physical injury, the statement did involve a physical assault. They were made the statements were made just after the time that the assault occurred. They involved domestic violence, domestic relationship. They were made under situations that would indicate trustworthiness, and that they were made to a police officer.
Yes, Your Honor. The issue I take with this is the lady that gave the statement, Ms. Georgiana, my understanding, she didn't want to cooperate, so I don't know if what this officer is now saying, what she said is what she actually said, Your Honor, given that the officers testified.
I don't know if she didn't want to cooperate. She's not here.
That's correct, but
That's not on the record.
this officer testified to that, and she said she didn't At
She
first
was
she-
apprehensive when the officer.
So how do we know that what this officer is gonna say that this lady actually said it? She's not here to testify.
Well, that sounds like it's a question of fact, then you don't know if she said it or not. They
That's
want
not-
to
that's
know,
not-
I want to know if you're objecting to
I am, because
the
that's.
testimony she's gonna give.
Because how do we
as
know the
hearsay.
trustworthiness of, given the fact she was apprehensive to give a statement?
Like you're objecting to the trustworthiness of the statements that was made by the victim to her.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, did you want to address that objection?
Yes, Your Honor. What the officer just testified to was that initially, the victim in this matter, Ms. Tingerina, was apprehensive to give a statement, but then agreed to give a statement. These were made at or near the time of a physical assault, and it is a typical response for victims of domestic violence to not want to report and then eventually to report. So I believe they were also made at or near the time of infliction. And I believe that those would indicate that the victim's statement would be trustworthy as to what happened.
Okay, I'll hold your testimony, I guess, or your objection in advance until I hear testimony as to what was actually stated, because then I can better measure whether or not the statement corroborates the other evidence. I have no reason to dispute that the victim was, or alleged victim was apprehensive in the beginning and changed and gave a statement. That doesn't make what the statement now not trustworthy. It just means she was apprehensive. Maybe she was fearful or something, but I don't know what the testimony is. So I'll make a ruling after I hear what the officer has to say. So you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Brown, what did Angelique tell you happened to her that day?
She told me that she left her front door open because she knew that the accused was coming over, and that if she didn't leave it open, that he would take it down. She left it open. Mr. Clark did come inside the house, got on top of her and strangled her for approximately 1 minute. She did not receive any injuries that she complained of, but did say she had a difficult time breathing. After he strangled her, he left. And that's when
He strangled her for 1 minute.
approximately.
And so during this incident, did this occur at Ms. Tingerina's house?
I don't think that the address was her house. I think it was maybe her sister's house, but it did occur at that 1220 North High
Okay.
address.
All right. And did Ms. Tingerina explain to you the manner in which she was strangled by Mr. Clark?
I do not recall off the top.
You don't recall the manner in which,
I don't know if she said with one hand, two hands. I don't want to specify if I don't recall.
Did you meet with anyone else that day?
I did speak with a witness.
And did that witness give their name or anything?
He did not.
Okay, but did they describe to you what they saw that day?
He did say that he saw the accused, quote, choke Miss Tiarina, and that was the extent of the statement he was going to provide.
Jen, I'm gonna object to that statement. That's hearsay. You can't say what somebody else told them. There's no exception to that.
objection sustained.
No other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Did you note any injury around her neck, any bruising?
No, ma'am.
Cross-examine.
Good afternoon. Good morning, officer.
Yeah, ma'am.
So you arrived at this location, is that correct? And that's the first time you've been at that location, is that correct?
It was.
And you said you made contact with the caller, is that correct?
I don't remember who called.
Okay, and you said that person said they expected her boyfriend to come in, is that correct? So she knew she was coming, is that correct?
To my knowledge, it sounded like Miss Tiarina knew he was coming.
And did you ask her what the purpose of that visit was?
No.
And,
She said no.
No, ma'am.
and you said that person arrived, and did you ask them anything about how the argument started or anything to that effect?
No.
And she didn't want to give a statement, is that correct?
Originally, she did not.
And did she appear intoxicated or under the influence of something that her opinion would be, her memory would be foggy or jaded?
No.
Or any of the other folks there, the eyewitness you talked to?
Didn't appear so.
And they never gave a name, is that correct?
Correct.
So the witness, she never gave her name?
Did not give a name, is that
The
correct?
witness that I spoke to did not give a name. There was, her sister was there also, but I did not obtain that.
Can
sister's
you
statement.
describe what the other individual looked like?
The witness that didn't provide a name. If I recall, he was a taller black male.
That's all you've done on this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
There are no additional questions. for
Thank
me.
you. The witness that you said saw it was not the sister?
So there were two people there aside from the victim. One of them was her sister who provided a statement, but I did not obtain her
Okay,
statement. A different officer did.
got it.
And then the unknown male
Male.
witness who did not provide a name.
So it was the unknown male that said he witnessed,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. And
I do not know what the sister's testimony
well,
was.
about how old was this unknown male? Did he appear to be? About how old, do you know?
I would say in his late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, and you spoke to him directly?
Yep.
Did you get his name?
He refused to provide it.
Oh, he refused to provide it, okay. And you said you viewed the victim's neck, you didn't notice any redness or bruising?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any redirect?
Just briefly, Your Honor. You stated prior, Officer Brown, that Ms. Tiarina left the door open at this time. But I believe on cross-examination, you testified you did not remember why she said that. If you saw a copy of your report, would you recall?
Judge, that wasn't my question. I asked if she knew why she was coming.
Okay. My apologies. If you saw a copy of your report, would you, I believe you responded to that question, you weren't sure why he was coming over, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If you saw a copy of your report, would that refresh your memory as to what Ms.
Let me
Tiarina told you?
She didn't say, her response was that she didn't ask what the purpose of the visit was, not that she didn't remember.
Is it possible that you did ask Ms. Tiarina what the purpose of him coming over was?
It's possible.
All right. If you saw a copy of your report, would it refresh your memory if she told you why he was coming over? All right. Permission to approach, Your Honor.
You can approach.
So did that refresh your memory, officer?
It did.
Okay. Did Miss, so did Miss Tiarina tell you, I guess why Mr. Clark would be there?
She did say that he gets upset or mad every time that she leaves.
Okay. And then after refreshing that, I wanted, did this, just to clarify something prior, the address that this occurred at, was that Miss Tiarina's house or was that someone else's residence?
It was her sister.
Okay. And why did Miss Tiarina tell you that she left the door open on that occasion?
Ask and answer, you know, I think she's asked that.
She did provide that information. Move on.
Okay. No other questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused from the stand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Officer Brown, there is a sequestration order, so you're not to discuss any portion of your testimony with any other witness, okay? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, you may be excused. You can call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would call Detective Pete Scation.
Detective, you can come up. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your first and last name and spell both.
Peter Scacia, Peterscaccia.
You can proceed, counsel.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Detective Scation.
Good morning.
Detective Scacia, are you, one second, sorry. Did there ever come a time in this case where you were alerted to a possible bond violation by an individual named Timothy Clark?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were alerted to that potential bond violation, how did you proceed?
I reviewed, one, to make sure there was a valid bond conditional order in place, which there was. And then two, I began reviewing video calls, videos, text from the Ingham County Jail.
Okay. And so the Ingham County Jail, are those, is that phone system recorded?
Yes.
Okay, and are those recordings are kept and stored, correct?
Yeah, cloud-based, I believe.
Okay, and those are kept in the regular course of business?
Yes.
And in your investigation, what did you find? Those phone calls?
There was several calls made by Timothy Clark to a phone number belonging to the victim in this case, Angelique. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. There's actually three from Ingham County, or sorry, three from Lansing City lockup while he was lodged here. Several more made from the Ingham County Jail.
Okay. And what was the content of those phone calls?
It varied. They talked about kids, their relationships, this case.
So when you say, when you said going the phone call specifically about this case, was there ever a time in any of those phone calls when Mr. Clark spoke to Angelique specifically about her appearance here today?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the content of those phone calls?
I don't remember the specific details, but he did tell her to go down to the courts and contact the judge to either change her statements or cooperate with whatever.
Right. If you saw a copy of the report you submitted, would that refresh your memory as to the content of some of those calls?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to approach her?
Yes.
And let me know when you're done.
Yeah, all the calls we need.
Yes, that's, yeah, the one.
Okay.
All right. So what specifically, did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
And what specifically, I guess, was Mr. Clark telling Angelique that he wanted her to do?
On what call?
if I can draw your attention to the call that was made on July 22nd at 9:46 a.m.
That's
Yes.
one more time.
Yep.
So July 22nd at what time?
At 9:46 a.m. Yes. What was he telling Angelique to do at that time?
To contact her sister, and he told Angelique and her sister to go down to the court and tell them that she lied about her statement.
Okay. And then, if I can again, just to refresh your memory on it, if you can look at it'd be the second one from the bottom, listed as August 1st of 2023 at 8:58, or be 20:58 hours. Permission to approach your,
Yes.
let me know when you refresh your memory.
Yes.
And what did Mr. Clark tell Angelique to do in that phone call?
Tells her to write a letter to the judge and apply a little pressure, maybe.
And how did you know that these calls were between Mr. Timothy Clark and Angelique?
During several calls, they identify each other by their names.
Okay. And were all of these calls made from Mr. Clark's jail account?
Not all of them.
Okay. Were they made from other inmate accounts?
Some of them were, yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Clark in any of these phone calls ever acknowledge that he was aware of a no contact order between himself and the defendant?
Several times.
And in any of these phone calls, did Mr. Clark discuss with the victim using other inmates' accounts in order to make these phone calls?
Yes.
One second. No further questions at this time. Mr.
That's
Chair.
Sam.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly, thank you. Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
You said that there were jail calls made, is that correct?
Yes.
We'll talk about one that you mentioned that was made on August 1st. Isn't it true that he tells Angelique to write a letter to Judge Aquilina, not to this court because he has an underlying case in front of Judge Aquilina, is that correct?
You may be right. I don't remember the specific judge. I just remember him saying, write a letter to the judge.
And he really says, hey, in that letter, Angelique needs Clark to provide for her, and need you to help him in that case, except for sentencing, is that correct?
The first portion, I know what was said. I'm not sure about the second.
You didn't look into anything else in regards to his legal matter when you heard Judge Aquilina's name?
No.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Detective Spatial.
Thank you.
You can call your next witness.
Just 1 second, Your Honor, if I may have.
Is this on the P 53?
This would be on the preliminary exam as well, Your Honor. I may wish to recall Officer Brown. Just briefly. At this time, the people have no further witnesses at this time. However, the people would ask for a brief adjournment solely for the purposes of making identification of the defendant, unless defense is willing to stipulate to identification.
I'm not willing to stipulate, but I don't agree with the German question. Here we're ready to roll. You need to have his other officers subpoena. I'm not going to agree to this adjournment.
Thank you. I'm not gonna grant a stipulation, grant an adjournment either, because today was the date and time set, and identification is probably one of the crucial things that you do at a prelim, so you can make your argument. Unless you want to call witnesses.
No witnesses today, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I'm gonna be quite frank. I can jump the horse before the cart, and I guess. She can come in here, you can call someone to identify anyway. That officer's testimony was pretty weak. I think you know that.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can make your argument.
However, yes, Your Honor, the people would then, I guess, move that it be bound over in count 1 as charged in the complaint. The people would seek to add an added count 3 of a witness interference in this matter. We heard testimony from Officer Brown that she obtained a statement from the victim in this matter, Ms. Angelique Tiarina, that on the date in question, which would be March 6, 2023, at the location of 1220 North High Street, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, that an individual identified as Mr. Timothy Clark did enter the home that she was occupying and strangled her with both hands. Although she did not, or at least attempted to strangle her with both hands, she did not complain of any injuries. The witness did not witness any injuries, which I believe would meet probable cause for the attempt. People would also seek to add an added count 3 of witness interference. We heard testimony from Detective Peter Scatia that he reviewed jail calls made between the defendant, Mr. Clark, and the victim in this matter, Ms. Angelique Tiarina, where he was asking her and her sister to go to the court and tell them that they lied during their statements, and also to write a letter to another judge, quote, to apply a little pressure. And these individuals were identified by name in the phone calls. So with that, Your Honor, people would ask that this be bound over on count 1 and count 3 with count 2 to follow.
Okay, so you want me to add a count of witness interference
Yes, Your Honor.
and add a count of attempt?
No, it's charged as attempted.
Oh, sorry. And then add another count of what?
That would be an added count 3 of witness interference, Your Honor.
Just practicing.
Your Honor, I asked this not be bound over for 1. Mr. Brown was mischaracterized what Officer Brown said. Officer Brown wasn't certain whether she was 1 hand or 2 hands. Frankly, Officer Brown's testimony was rather poor, Your Honor.
You stole that from me. I was gonna say that.
But
Get your own argument.
fair enough, Your Honor. Well, bottom line is her testimony is so bad that I'm asking for this to not be bound over. Thank you.
Okay, today's the date and time set for preliminary examination. The burden is on the prosecution. They have to establish a relatively low burden, which is more than mere suspicion that a crime was committed, so they can establish probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause that you committed the crime. And today did have Officer Ella Brown here. Again, the court is the sole determiner of credibility. Officer Brown appeared today and testified that she reported the address of 1220 North High Street in Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County, which does make venue in this court appropriate. On March 6, 2023, she stated that she met with the person who identified themselves as Angelique Tiarina, and that the person appeared to be apprehensive, and that she did later, or apprehensive and maybe uncooperative, and then later decided that she would testify. She indicated that she left the door open because, or the victim allegedly indicated to the officer that she left the door open for the accused because he was coming over. The defendant came over, got on top of her, and strangled her for 1 minute. When questioned, the officer did not know the dating relationship or was unclear about the dating relationship initially. She had to be refreshed about that. She didn't know if they had, she said they had no children. I I jumped in and asked they had no children only because I remember the last hearing about the bond violation. He indicated something about calling to talk about his children. So I knew there, I must have missed something. And so when refreshed again, then she decided they had a 1-year-old infant child. If the officer was present, where was the 1-year-old infant child? Was infant child in the home? If you're reporting to the scene of an incident for a crime, you don't ask and see who's in the house. There's the officer didn't recall the manner in which the alleged incident occurred. The officer didn't ask what was the purpose of him coming over. And then when refreshed, is it, by your question specifically, is it possible, you asked, after she clearly stated she did it? Well, I guess it's possible. I have questions about the officer credibility now. Either she failed to do her due diligence, or she failed to review a report, or she just completely forget what happened, or it's a combination of all of those. But if we're going to rely on officer testimony to admit evidence under 768.27C, it's got to be reliable and trustworthy. And I don't find her testimony to be reliable and trustworthy. Your objection is sustained. And so, because I don't believe also that someone was strangled for a minute and there was no marks around their neck. Yeah, I don't even know how you can live and be strangled for a minute. So something's off. I have concerns that there was an adult male present, but we don't know his name. He said he witnessed a strangulation. I asked how old he was. So adult male witnessed another male come in and strangle. There's him and another woman there, but no one renders any assistance. No one talks about that. There was a sister allegedly there. Officer doesn't even know the sister's name. She didn't interview. She's the only officer that was called here today. And then nobody identified this person as the individual. I don't know if this officer was supposed to be the one that would do an identification or another officer. Just sounds like this is a complete fail. Therefore, this case is dismissed. As to the PA 53 violation, I'm sustaining the violation as you were on bond and you were not to have any contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim. And we were clear about that. You kind of gave it away that you violated when you asked how you're supposed to call your kids. This isn't a family court. We don't deal with that here. When we have an alleged victim, we have to set rules and parameters, and you have to follow those until this is sorted out. And you didn't do that. And that's evidenced by the litany of reports that we got about calls and as it relates to appearing in court or contacting the court. I don't know which court we were talking about. I do know that there was an allegation of, or there was enough for me to sustain the violation that you violated the bond. I don't know which court we're talking about when it comes to writing a letter or not appearing. And that wasn't clarified. That should have been clarified if we want to add a count of witness interference and we had the detective here. That's why we adjourned it, so we can get the detective. And so maybe his recollection could have been more refreshed too. Either way, I'm not sustaining or adding a count of witness interference. I will sustain the bond violation. You can address that before I sentence him.
Thank you, Your Honor. Given that this, under my understanding, he's been in jail since the date of this incident, and I'd asked as far as a sanction to be given
The date of the incident,
since, not the instance, you got.
that was in March.
Sorry about that. And I missed. He's been in.
Since arraignment, maybe?
Since the 21st of July, Your Honor, I'd asked him to give him credit for that time since then. I apologize for mixing it.
Okay, I'll credit him time served, and you're all set. Thank you.
Take care. Well, you get some trust, huh?
Okay, ready, Mr. Mills. I'm just really happy that we didn't. I'm sorry?
With or without prejudice.
The dismissal. Well, they didn't have a trial, so.
We have to.
It's with them. Yeah. Let me see here. Mr. Abbott, you say you're planning to run?
Yes, Your Honor.
So here's the issue. I have to get to a Michigan Association of Justice. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Daniel Martinez. File number is 23-01 at 304. Council appearance.
Sage Councilman on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Steve Milton on behalf of Mr. Martinez, who is present and seated to my right at this time.
Okay, today was the date and time that we reset the examination. I think there was multiple issues previously. Mr. Milk, you said you were going to request an adjournment.
Yes, Your Honor. First and foremost, we understand that this case has been pending for a little bit. There was an issue, I think, with transporting my client over previously. Ms. Castleman has been very upfront, very honest and forthright with defense, and it's always greatly appreciated. In this matter, understanding the court is a little pressed for time due to an obligation, and understanding that the court has obliged me in many circumstances where I've either been later in other courts, which I appreciate as well. We are requesting adjournment, not only for those reasons, but more importantly, because we do believe that people are going to be requesting to turn this into a capital offense case. Considering the circumstances here, it's going to take us, in my opinion, it's going to take us far longer than an hour to move forward. Considering the severity of everything, keeping everything together, designated time to make sure we're going over everything, I think it's going to take well up into 2 hours. I think I've got some case law I'd like to present as well, which means my closing is probably going to be a little bit longer. And I prefer having all of those things put together rather than trying to bifurcate them, split them up, and everyone trying to remember what happened when. So for those reasons, purposes of due process, for my client, I am requesting adjournment this time, a brief adjournment at this time.
So I just would note that I see in the notes here, that there's been repeated requests for adjournments that have been due to multiple issues, but mostly requested by defense counsel. It looks like I don't see a time in which I believe the people agreed to one adjournment at some point, but we do have the victim present today. That is something important in terms of preserving her testimony at this time. She is present today. I really would like to run this examination today, especially because there are multiple contacts from Mr. Martinez to the victim. I want to address that as well in court today. I do think that we can get at least most of the examination done today. I know Your Honor has some time constraints and I want to respect those, but I would respectfully be objecting to the request for an adjournment. I think it's essential we move forward today.
I think if the victim is here, I could take the victim's, and should take the victim's testimony today.
Thank you.
And it's understandable, Your Honor. Like I said, I do believe it's going to take longer than just today. And I know the court may have to address other.
That's fine. We'll start. We'll take the victim's testimony and then we'll adjourn as necessary.
Very good. And I just for clarity of the record, Your Honor, the last adjournment we had was because the complaining witness had been hospitalized, and that was not our request.
Correct.
Prior to that, my client was not brought over from Nuevo, which
Correct.
was also not his mistake. So it's not that the defense has been asking for numerous adjournments. The defense has not been trying to ice anyone or do anything along those lines. This is technically, I believe the first legitimate request for adjournment. Understand, and I just wanted to clarify the record.
I'm glad, thankful that you clarified. We are going to go get your witness real quick, and let me go off the record to address Mr. Adams, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, is this the cord for the computer?
It should be, yes. Okay. And then Mr. Abbott, I don't have the prosecutor in here. Oh, there it goes. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anaya Johnson, file number 23-02263. Appearance, please.
Jeff Radovich on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. John Abbott representing Ms. Johnson. She's standing to my left.
Okay, so Ms. Johnson's scheduled to have an exam today, it's scheduled for 9 o'clock. I'm about to start, I need some stuff out there, sorry. I'm about to start another exam, which is gonna run me up into a time frame in which I need to go to an event. I need to leave here by 11:30. So I will not be able to start hers until about 2:30, 3 o'clock. So we can either do it later today, or I can find good cause and set it for a different time.
She's and she's going to make work if we really much longer. We asked for adjournment to a date for the teacher. Not between August 19th and September 5th.
Because you have vacation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll find good cause to adjourn due to my court's availability. September 8th. That works.
Thank you.
September 8th, Mr. Abbott will be back from vacation. He'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so we'll do it at 9:30 in the morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, and thank you for your understanding. Let me see, this was a dollar. Oh, no, this was the order. Okay, and then we'll get you a notice to appear, okay, ma'am? Thank you. No problem. You can call your next witness. I'm sorry, you can call your first witness, but it's on the record.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I would be calling Gabrielle Palmer.
Have you raise your right hand first? You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yeah.
Okay, you can have a seat. Okay, and you can, if you want, you can sit that. I don't know if you wanted to keep that with you, if you want to put it on a chair.
I was just gonna.
Okay, as long as it's not covering up our microphone, they're good.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, so there's a microphone there, and the person behind you is the court reporter. She has to write down everything that's being stated in the court today. She's making an official court record, so your responses must be heard. They must be loud and clear. They have to be verbal. They can't be head nods or head shakes or mm-hms and uh-hs, because then we'll have to ask you if that's a yes or a no, okay? Do you understand what I said? So if your responses must be verbal,
Okay,
and they must not be head nods and shakes.
okay, yeah, just
Okay.
yes and no.
Okay, and thank you very much. And then also, if there's an objection from either of the attorneys, you would stop speaking. I'll make a ruling on that objection, then I'll tell you if you can give that answer or not, okay?
Okay.
So please state your
Yeah.
first and last name and then spell both of them.
Gabrielle Palmer,
You can proceed, counsel.
Can you please spell your first and last name?
GABRIELLEPALMER.
Thank you. And Ms. Palmer, do you know what you're here to testify about today?
Yes.
And what is that?
Gary Martinez hurting me or trying to hurt me.
And where did this happen?
House,
And your house, where is that located at?
935 Bench Street,
And what city is that in?
Lansing, Michigan.
And what county?
And
Right. And do you recall having contact with the police around April 7th of 2023?
I don't know exactly the date, but I did call the cops at 2 different. I called them once, and I believe my mother called another time.
Okay. And so around that first week of April back in 2023, can you tell me the circumstances of coming into contact with Mr. Martinez?
Okay.
Can you tell me about how you came in contact with Mr. Martinez in that week, that first week of April?
Objection, Your Honor, that's, it is not what the testimony's been. She's now essentially testifying as to when this happened, but witness at the time says she's not certain when it happened. Prosecutor this time is saying that it happened sometime in April all of a sudden, so she's pretty much asking questions that are not in evidence.
Right. She never indicated when it happened. She said she didn't recall.
I asked her if she had contact with the police on April 7th of 2023. Regarding, I can get into more specific.
Okay, I'll allow you to do that.
Around when did this occur that?
It was the beginning of April,
Okay. And what year was that?
2023.
Okay. And can you tell me how you came in contact with Mr. Martinez?
He showed up unannounced.
Tell me all about that.
I was gaming in my back room, and I guess he was at my window. My dog had alerted me that he was at my window. And then I came to the front door, and he was up at the front door at some point. And I felt bad for him because it was raining that night.
How long had it been since you had seen him?
Like a couple of years. I'm not entirely I don't know exactly. Like I just know it's been a while since we've seen each other.
And had you ever been in a dating relationship with Mr. Martinez?
Yes, back in 2014.
Okay. And
that was the last we ended our relationship. Sorry.
In the beginning of April, when he showed up at your house, did you invite him over to your house?
No.
And you said that you felt bad. Can you tell me whether you agreed to let him stay at that point?
Yes, till Monday. It was a Friday night, and he was only supposed to stay until Monday, and then he, after that, that was the agreement, and then he stayed longer because I got sick. I got COVID.
Okay. And tell me about what happened when he stayed longer than what you guys agreed upon.
He got jealous over some guy that I was talking to online. And he got upset about it.
What happened when he got upset about it?
He didn't seem to care that I was sick. I was in pain from having COVID, and I don't know, he just starts taking advantage of my house. It's not his house.
Was there a point in which you asked him to leave?
I'm sorry, I'm just my nerves.
You can take a breath, it's okay. Was there a point in which he left your house?
After I called the cops, I don't know what exact day of the week it was because he kept taking my phone from me and hiding it from me.
So why did you decide to call the cops?
Because he wouldn't leave.
You end up leaving at any point when you called the cops?
Yes, he fled the scene.
How did he flee the scene?
He ran somewhere. I don't know.
And then did you end up seeing him at any point after he left that first time?
That's when he showed back up. He broke into my house. It was at 5 o'clock in the morning last night before my mom called the cops for me again. Cause I called my mom in the morning at some point. I don't know because I was able to find my phone underneath my blankets where he shoved it underneath. I don't know. I just know that he kept my phone from me.
Okay. And did he say anything when he was keeping your phone from you in terms of,
No,
or,
I don't know. He kept threatening me he had that screwdriver.
okay. Tell me all about what you saw when he showed up back up at your house at 5 a.m.
Sorry.
Tell me all about what you saw when he showed back up at your house at 5 a.m.
I was in my back room. I was messaging my friend. It was 5 a.m. exactly. I remember I have a clock on my PlayStation, and I was messaging them, and then I seen a shadow in my kitchen, and he must have been peeking around the corner or something. I had a bad feeling, and then I came out of my bedroom into my kitchen in my living room. He was standing there. He scared me, and he just said, I just stood there and I didn't say anything. He said, "Do you know how long I've been standing here?" And I said, I just shook my head no. And he said 30 minutes.
And did he have permission to enter your house at that
No.
point?
He told me he broke in through a little window, but I know he broke in through my front door.
After this incident happened, did you see any damage on your front door?
Yes, I have damaged my door from him. Yes.
What kind of damage?
I'm fine. You can see it's fried, like there's divots in the door. There's like from prying the door open. It's, and I don't know.
And so do you see Mr. Martinez in the courtroom right now?
Yes.
Okay, can you just tell the court where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
Orange. Jumpsuit.
Okay, may the record reflect the witness
Yes.
identity.
It's him, that's Daniel Martinez.
Right, may the record reflect the witness identify the defendant.
Purpose of prelim, Your Honor, no objections.
In the living room, or, sorry, yes, he was in your living room, is that correct?
It's a slash dining room,
Okay.
living room, but yes, it's my living room.
Okay. And when you saw him there, did he have any weapon with him?
No, not that I noticed, but he didn't pull that out until I tried to usher him out, like I went to my front door at some point to see like how he broke in, and then he pushed me back. But I remember him pushing me back into my house because I was trying to push him back out, like, and then, but other than that, like, he just didn't want me to leave, I guess.
Okay. And when did you notice the screwdriver that you spoke about earlier?
That wasn't until I was pushed back, like ushered back into my room. Like he just ushered me back into the bedroom. It's set to the very back of the house. And it's like, and then I didn't notice it until I tried to go into the bathroom to get out of that room. And then he had pulled it out and then started waving it around. I seen it he had it on his side. That's what happened. He had it on his side, and I looked down and I seen something sharp. And I was scared, and I was like, what was that?
What was he saying when he was waving the screwdriver around?
I don't exactly remember. It was, I just remember. I remember him saying like the typical things like.
Objection, Your Honor. At this point, she's speculating as to what was being said. She's saying
Yeah,
he would
I
say
don't-
the typical things at this point. She's already said that she's not certain what he said, so she's kind of speculating at this time.
Do you want to respond to the objection?
I would just ask her a more clarifying question.
Thank you. Objection sustained.
So what can you remember about what he said?
Just the one thing I do remember was if I can't have you, nobody else can. That's what I remember.
Right. So we're gonna come back to that in a second, but when you first called the police to get him out of your residence, was there anything that had happened prior to that point that made you want to get him out?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
When you first called the police to get him out of your residence, was there anything that happened prior to that point that made you want to get him out?
Yeah, I was waking up with him inside of me. Like, I didn't appreciate that at all. I was going through COVID and I told him to get off of me and he pulled me by my hair from side to side.
And did that happen one time, more than one time, or something else where you woke up with him inside of you?
I'm not altogether sure. I just remember it happening the one time, particularly right now.
And I'm gonna ask you about that time that you remember, okay? Where were you when you woke up?
In my bedroom.
Okay, and before that time when you woke up, had you guys had any consensual sexual relations before then?
Yes, it was like the first night. And might have been the second night too, but I believe it was only like that first weekend. And then he was supposed to go and then he never left. He just kept making excuses not to leave.
And tell me all about what happened when you woke up with him inside of you.
I asked him to get off of me and he got mad. That's when he pulled me by my hair.
And what part of his body was touching your body when you woke
He was
up?
in between my legs.
And what part of his body was touching your body?
His penis was inside of me.
Inside of where?
My vagina.
And when you woke up, what did you do?
When I woke up, I said, please, I was in pain and I was like, get off of me. And he got upset and that's when he grabbed me by my hair and from side to side and yanked me from side to side.
What happened next?
He got off of me.
And right before you woke up, were you asleep?
Yes, I was fully asleep.
Did he say anything when you told him to get off of you?
Did he say anything?
Yeah.
No, he just had anger in his face. He just went, and he just went like, I don't know. He didn't really say anything.
When he grabbed you by your hair, was he still inside of you at that point?
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I don't- It was pretty far.
What were you feeling at that time when you woke up and he was inside of you?
I was frustrated.
And what about when he was pulling your hair?
I was in pain.
And let's go back to when he came back to your house with the screwdriver. And I think we ended where you were talking about him stating, if I can't have you, no one else will. What happened after that point?
I remember him throwing the screwdriver at one point and it hit the wall. And he said that I could hurt you with my, like he could kill me with his bare hands. And I said, I just want he just, I just wanted to leave.
Where were you while he had the screwdriver?
I was in my room in my bed. He wouldn't let me go anywhere.
What
I
did
wanted, I just wanted him to just go.
So were you trying to leave the bedroom?
Yeah, I went to the, like, I couldn't go anywhere. He wouldn't let me go anywhere. He just kept me on the bed, just like kept jumping from the floor to the bed. Like, I don't know, it just.
How was he preventing you from leaving?
Yeah, I kept holding the screwdriver, and then when he threw it, he couldn't find it, and he wanted me to find it with him.
How long did he keep you in the bedroom with the screwdriver?
I don't know. Like it was from 5 in the morning until the afternoon, like maybe till the afternoon. Whenever my mom, I called my mother. She saved me.
Right, and what type of threats was he making when he had the screwdriver in his hand?
The same threats, like he could. I don't know. He just kept it at my neck, and he said he could kill me with it. I don't know the exact statements.
Okay, and how did those statements make you feel that he was saying?
I was scared. I was frightened for my life. I thought he was gonna kill me.
Okay. And how close to your neck was the screwdriver?
Right up to my neck.
Was it touching your neck?
Yes, at some points he had it. He was on top of me and he kept strangling me, and it wasn't just the screwdriver, his hand too.
Okay, and tell me all about him strangling you.
He choked me and they had to do tests on me to make sure I didn't have any like bursted blood, like you, I don't know what it's called. I got a test done. They had checked my head to make sure I didn't have any blood vessels in my head pop. Because you can lose brain cells doing that, strangling people.
Where did he strangle you?
Around my neck.
Okay, and where in the house?
In my bedroom.
Okay, and tell me, was it with one hand, two hands, or something else?
hands.
All right, and how long was he strangling you for?
He would strangle me a little bit and then let go if I like went to scream, like let me go. But it's like I don't know. And he just.
Was it for more than 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds, or something else?
I would say less than 5 seconds.
Okay. Was your breathing impacted in any way when you were strangled?
Yes. I couldn't breathe. I would claw my in his hand. Like, I was like holding his arms, that he's stronger than me.
Okay. And how many times would you say that he strangled you when you were in that room?
Multiple times.
Okay.
I can't put a number on it.
And each time were you unable to breathe?
Yes, I don't like to be strangled. I don't like, he's cutting off my air supply.
Okay. And did you ever go into a different room during this, while he was, keeping you in the house? Did you ever go into a different room besides the bedroom?
Yes, I went. I went to the bathroom.
What happened when you went to the bathroom?
That was when he first pulled out the screwdriver. He had it on his side. Because that's when. Because it's harder.
Just tell me all about what you can remember about going to the bathroom.
When he arrived that morning, I tried to usher him out of the house because I was looking at the door, and then he pushed me back into the house because I was trying to keep him out. And I remember coming, he pushed me back to my bedroom. And then once I went to my bathroom, 'cause I wanted to take a bath because I had COVID. I knew I had COVID. And then he came in there and he was angry at me. I don't, like, because I didn't want to be with him. I don't, and
Did Mr. Martinez make any physical contact with you in the bathroom?
he threatened me with that screwdriver, but he was mainly wanting me in that bedroom. I know that he just wanted to keep me in there to convince me to, I don't know if he was trying to convince me to be with him or if he really, really honestly wanted to kill me. I don't know.
And
He's scary.
okay, and then when Mr. Martinez grabbed you by the hair when the sexual, contact happened when you woke up, did that leave any injuries on you?
My head hurt. I had a headache. I mean, he didn't pull. I don't know if he pulled it. I didn't notice because I don't know.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
Did you ever try to call for help when he was when he held you in your house from the 5 a.m. to the afternoon?
I couldn't.
How did you get out of that situation?
I'm sorry.
How did you get out of that situation?
Out of the entire thing?
Yeah.
Behind my back, I found my phone. It was underneath my blankets. He had stuck it underneath there. And I was able to dial my mom's number behind my back. And as soon as I dialed it, I go, Mom. And then he was like, stop, please, and pleaded with me, even though he tortured me and was messing with me. I asked him just to get out, and then he fled the scene again. And then my mom was able to call the cops for me.
Okay. And then how has the sexual assault that happened to you when you woke up and he was inside of you, how has that affected you mentally?
It's frustrating to have somebody think that they can take advantage, like this. I don't like to be taken advantage of. I felt like he was taking advantage of me. I don't know how it makes me feel. It makes me feel angry, frustrated, annoyed.
Have you talked to any therapists about what happened with Mr. Martinez?
Not at this time. I'm speaking. Like I have a therapist on the 16th.
And
This one.
how often do you think about what Mr. Martinez did? How often do you think about what Mr. Martinez did to you?
I think about it at night the most because I can't sleep in my back room anymore. I move my bed because he cut my screen with that screwdriver. I think there's a big gash in it.
Okay. How else does it affect you, what he did, day to day?
I'm not happy with him at all. He needs to grow up.
Do you still feel scared about what happened?
Yes.
How often?
When I'm alone. When I'm not. I don't. I
And
guess every day.
okay. And did you cry at all after what happened with Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
How much did you cry about it?
I'm sorry, can you stick to the elements of the crimes, please?
This is my last question about the elements. I believe it goes to mental anguish in terms of personal injury.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Have you heard from Mr. Martinez since what happened?
He's been calling me, I believe, like from Nuevo County, and and Lansing Police Department, he called me last night. I don't answer his phone calls because I want him to move on.
May I approach with people's proposed exhibits, 1 through 6?
Yes.
And just showing you people's proposed 1 through 6. Is this your phone number that I'm pointing to in the middle of the page?
Yes.
Is that 517-896-0423?
Yeah.
Right. And are these dates in which Mr. Martinez called you from the jail after the incident happened?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm sorry. At this point, this is not one, she's being shown the information at this time. It's not been admitted in evidence. Two, it's not necessarily based on personal recollection or personal information. She's just been handed a document of phone calls at this point, and she's just reading from it.
What are you trying to establish? How is this an element of something he's been charged with?
I am trying to establish the fact that he's violated the PA 53.
Okay, well then, if he's done that, then I need to see that to the court, and then we issue a PA 53 so he can be arraigned. We don't have a hearing on that before that.
I understand, but the court can hold him in contempt at any time for repeatedly violating.
We don't know that I've not been notified that there's been a violation of his bond orders. That typically that's provided to me for me to review and decide if I'm going to issue a contempt.
Yes, and that has not been done yet.
Okay, so that needs to be done.
And I can ask.
Not just showing her a list. And are these supposed to be jail calls?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well then we need an investigator on it too.
I do believe the preliminary examination rule 766.11 BC and that these were statements by the defendant in technicality. I think that business records such as this are admissible without any foundation.
And Your Honor, I would completely disagree. At this point, she's blending two different requirements at this time. She's talking about a bond violation, which has proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and she's trying to blend that with the much lower burden of probable cause for the purposes of preliminary examination. The court is 100% correct and has already stated that there's not been any formal one brought, and that needs to be brought up.
I haven't issued a contempt order. I've not arraigned him on and given him any rights as related to that. There's not been any indication to me that there's been a bond violation. If that's the case, I require a investigator to determine how those phone calls are made if they're jail calls. We don't just show a list to a witness and have them testify about those calls. She's not an investigator. She can't determine the mechanism in which those were called. And so we need an investigator to do that.
Right.
And the investigator can be called to court to testify. We just did a PFD right before you came in.
Yeah, I know that, Your Honor.
Same thing.
Okay. I will move on to that. So have you gotten multiple calls?
I renew my objection at this point. There's a lack of foundation at this point.
Okay, we're only addressing we're not addressing a bond violation. We're addressing the elements of, as it relates to the examination for probable cause today. If a bond violation is being requested, then someone needs to forward to me, or you can make that request here and I can address him. That request actually should have been made when we first got here, and I could have arraigned him before we even started this, but we didn't do that. I've not heard anything about any bond violations. We're not questioning about her on a bond violation during this hearing.
May I question her about the fact that she has been called repeatedly from Mr. Martinez?
Well, she's answered that already.
Can you tell me how many times that he's called you throughout since this happened from jail?
Since April?
Yeah.
Probably 10 times from that one jail, but like repeatedly at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why he's allowed to call people at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was called once last night from the Lansing Police Department, and that was at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And all right, I don't have any further questions at this time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I want to be cognizant of the court's time as well. But I do anticipate going over. So if it's okay with the court, I'll try to find like a natural stopping point, if that's all right.
I'm sorry?
I've got a few questions I want to start with, but I'm going to go over, so I'll try to find a natural stopping point.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I sit here? If you're- So my name is Stephen Mills, okay? I'm obviously representing Mr. Martinez, okay? And I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, okay? Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you need more time? Okay? You just let me know and I can hold off, okay? If you need something, drink water, or you need, something, let me know.
My medication is.
A little bit of dry mouth sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get anything, but, we can, we'll try to find that, all right? So,
Yeah.
like I said, I've got a few
No, my
questions.
mom has one.
Oh,
I
okay.
do accept one.
Okay. Do you want some water?
Just, yeah, I need a little bit.
I'm sorry, that's okay.
There should have been water up there, but yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to establish a few things, okay? You indicated that you saw Mr. Martinez, the first time you saw Mr. Martinez was, like, on a Friday or something, is that about right?
Friday night, it was a Friday night.
You said that it was raining and you kind of felt bad for him, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that he could stay till Monday, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember when police came?
It would have been a few days later after Monday morning, because I was frustrated that nobody would come pick his stuff up. And because he had his friend, his old roommate, Rob, I believe Rob drop off. I'm not entirely sure who it was that dropped it off, but he was, what was the question again?
No, it's okay. I just said, do you remember when you called police, what day it was?
Oh, I don't know exactly the exact date.
And you're positive this was on the weekend though?
No, it would have been through the weekday that I
Through the
called the
weekday.
police.
Okay,
So it was
so,
going into the following week. of
gotcha.
that.
So on the 4th, or roughly around there, is when you came, you saw him, correct?
Was that a Friday?
It was a Tuesday.
It would have been like, it would have been Tuesday or Wednesday that I believe I called the police.
It would have been that Tuesday or Wednesday that you called police?
I believe, I know it was after Monday,
Okay.
because he did not leave. And he was
Are you
getting violent with
certain,
me.
are you certain it was after Monday that he called?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty certain it was after Monday.
And so police didn't arrive until the following Monday, is that right? After he,
No, that was, it was the end of the week. It was like Thursday was when it was Friday to Thursday, I believe.
Friday to Thursday?
Friday, it was like a Friday, Saturday, he was supposed to say until 2 nights until Monday morning.
Okay.
And then, I believe, unless it was Saturday, I believe like Friday or Saturday, and then,
Was it a Friday or Saturday that he arrived? Is that what-
yes, when he arrived.
It was a Friday or Saturday he arrived, and he had until 2 or 3 days to stay, which you believe is Monday, is that correct?
He was supposed to go to a halfway house,
Okay.
and he kept making excuses not
So
throughout the
just
week.
to what my question was, just, it was a Monday that he was supposed to leave, is that correct? To the best of your knowledge?
Yes, he was
Okay.
supposed to leave Monday
All right.
morning.
And when you spoke with police, that was before Monday morning?
No, it was
spoke with him.
after,
Okay, all right.
because he would not leave.
And do you ever have trouble with memories at all?
No, it's just, this is my first time ever dealing with the courts, and it makes me nervous.
And
So-
you indicate that your medication gives you some dry mouth, right?
Yeah,
And what kind of medication are you on?
I would just object as to relevance. I think we need to lay a foundation first whether this medication affects her ability to testify.
Your Honor, at this point, I think we've already laid a foundation or not laid a foundation, but we're allowed to ask, she's currently on medications, and whether or not that is affecting her testimony here is going to be important. It does go to bias, it goes to memory. These are things that are definitely discoverable at any point during an individual's examination.
Your question was she on medication at the time
Currently,
or currently?
if that's affecting her.
Absolutely relevant. Objections overruled.
So what medications are you on right now?
they have me on Depakote and lithium, and vilified shots because I don't know, I have anxiety medication to counteract those. But they have me on higher, they need to reevaluate my medication because they have me on too high a dose or something.
So in really high doses right now.
Yeah, it's just, it gets me, like, it's like I don't see my doctor until like the end of this month.
Okay, okay. And so those are some pretty strong psychotropic medications, is that right?
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know I mean, they're supposed to help calm me down, I guess, but I don't think I need to be on such a high dose.
Does it make you foggy?
No.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't impact your ability to remember things at all, or and you like you said, it does not make things foggy. Is that what you indicated?
No, it doesn't. It's just, it happened in the beginning of April. It's, we're in August now, so time is flying, and not all the, I mean, I have the ability to remember what he did.
Okay. All right. Now, when police did arrive, okay, and you believe that this was a Monday? No, I'm sorry,
No.
Sunday.
No, not Sunday. It was after.
I'm sorry. At this point, I think there's some comments coming from the back, almost in response to my questions. At this point, I don't know. I just heard some whispering. I don't.
Okay.
I believe
Is that your mom sitting there?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, are you making some voices or noises back there? You say you don't think so?
Really hear noises?
Yeah, did you say something?
No.
Okay. Okay, she hasn't said anything. Council, did you hear anything?
No, I did not hear.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know. She did sit back right before when she was answering. I don't know if maybe she sighed. I'm not sure what you heard. But no, that's not a question for you, ma'am. Ma'am, this is not a question for you.
I'm sorry.
All right, and no one else heard anything then too? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So when police did first arrive, okay, do you remember putting Mr. Martinez's property out on the front porch?
No, I was taking it outside the porch.
Got it.
I was putting it on the front, in the front of the house, and then when the police arrived, the male officer, he's like, "Oh, you don't seem to need our help," and I said, "Why wouldn't I need your help?" And I didn't understand why he felt the need to walk away from that. I don't know what their intentions were with that.
So the officer walked away while you were moving out Mr. Martinez's property from the house?
Yes, because he had somebody's job.
So let me also ask then, there was also property from my client in the back of the house too, is that right?
I was moved to the back because I have issues with a neighbor across the street that likes to, I didn't want him to call like on me, like code
So
compliant.
this means like some of his clothing, is that right?
It was a stuff in tubs.
Stuff in tubs, like personal belongings
Yeah.
and those types of things that were
Yeah,
at the
because I
house?
didn't want them on my property.
Okay, but he had them at the house, obviously.
Yes, he had somebody drop them
And
off.
he even had his tooth at the house, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and you
Yeah.
showed that to officers, right?
Yeah, so I said, you gotta.
All right. Now, do you remember speaking with my client's probation officer? My client's probation, Mr. Martinez's probation officer? Anyone
No.
calling from the courts asking or verifying that my client lived at the house?
He doesn't live there.
And you never verified that he actually lived there or told the parole officer that he lived
Yes,
there?
I told them that he did not live there. He does not stay here. At my 935 bench is not his home. That's my house. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, you're
Like-
fine, you're fine, you're
Okay,
fine.
yeah, that's.
And when did he move all of his personal belongings into your house?
It was that weekend. It was before Monday.
Okay.
It was, I believe, Saturday or Sunday. Somebody had dropped it off.
And I'm gonna end on this series of questions just for today. Do you remember speaking, with police officers, correct?
Yes, yes, I do.
And do you recall when talking to them, and I'm talking about the time that you and Ms. Martinez had consensual sex at one point, correct?
Yes.
And then you fell asleep that evening, right?
Yes.
And then when you woke up, do you recall telling officers that you felt his penis between your thighs?
It wasn't that weekend. It was not the weekend.
Oh, okay.
It was
I'm
after
sorry.
Monday.
When you woke up next, do you remember telling police that you felt his penis between your thighs?
I'm sorry, what?
That you
What-
felt his
what-
penis
what-
between your thighs?
No, he was inside me.
Do you remember telling police that you inquired as to what he was doing?
I don't remember telling the police every detail. I remember them taking pictures of my bruises.
Do you ever talk to them about the
I
about him touching
believe
you with his penis?
I might have told them about I may have, I'm
don't-
not entirely sure if I did.
It's hard to remember sometimes.
No, it's just, I don't remember at this time.
Okay.
I just don't remember that detail.
Do you remember continuing to have sexual intercourse with Mr. Martinez after two of you woke up?
I believe it was only the weekend. I know it's,
I'm sorry, just when you woke up. I'm not trying to put a date on that. When you guys
no,
woke up.
I don't remember waking up the next morning after the first night.
Well, I mean, after you said that his penis was between your legs,
That was
and then
during
do you
the weekend.
remember telling police that you just let him do it? You were just okay with letting him do it?
At one point, I yes, oh, yeah, I did, yeah, because he just does what he wants.
And
I just let him,
you didn't,
take advantage of
did you say no?
yeah, I told him no the first time. I told him to get off of me,
And that's what you told police too? Is that what you're
yes,
saying? Okay. So the
Yeah.
police report's different than they're mistaken or you're mistaken?
I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
I didn't want to have sex with him.
And then you indicated that you did verbalize that, is that right?
Yes, I verbalized it, and I told him to get off of me, and it upset him. That's when he hurt me in my hair.
I have many more questions, obviously. Just considering the time at this point, I'd ask if we could adjourn this for a different day to continue the preliminary examination.
We're gonna need to adjourn because she's gonna have to have an opportunity to redirect. I also want to arraign him on a PA 53 violation.
Thank you, Ellen. And I have already sent word to get that done in terms of filing a formal plea.
Sounds good. So this witness will be resubpoenaed back to court for the next court date. Do you understand that, ma'am?
What's that?
We're gonna adjourn, which means we're gonna recess, and then you'll come back on another day to complete your testimony, okay? Okay, okay. You can be excused from the stand at this time, and we'll get you a new date through Ms. Councilman, okay?
Okay.
So she might want you to wait out there and she can talk to you when she's done, okay?
Thank you, Ellen.
Okay, and Mr. Martinez, there's allegations that you have violated your bond conditions. You were arraigned in this matter back on May 15th. You were arraigned by Judge Ward. Let me double check. I'm sorry.
I thought his arraignment was a bit earlier than that.
I have that it was reset. He was supposed to be arraigned by video on May 9th. It said the video arraignment was reset to May 15th. And so, because he must have been in custody. And so he was arraigned, it says May 15th by Magistrate Milmore. She entered a no contact order telling you could not have contact directly or indirectly with Gabrielle Palmer, that you were not to be within 2,000 feet of wherever she lived, worked, or go to school, that you were not to cause anybody to have third-party contact with her during the pendency of this matter. The allegations are that you violated that by making contact with her multiple times, some of those times being, or all those times, I guess, being while in the custody of the jail. And so you have the right to be represented by counsel at a contested hearing on that. You have the right to have the prosecutor bring evidence and or submit testimony that would prove that you violated your bond conditions. A violation of your bond conditions is a contempt of court order. So you'd be facing a maximum penalty of 93 days in jail and or up to $7,500 in fines. You understand that? Okay, how is he pleading as to bond violation?
At this time, not guilty, Your Honor. And while we do have records of alleged phone calls being made, I appreciate if we have any of the actual recorded conversations I've heard where he actually had communications with her. I just ask the people to provide that to me in my office.
The people can provide you whatever discovery is necessary at this time as it relates to the phone, if there's alleged phone calls from the jail, recorded phone calls.
I don't think people have any recordings of conversations.
Okay,
Yeah,
they
so-
don't.
Yeah,
I'm
so the
sorry.
call, none of, just for the record, I did turn over what I have so far. I will turn over more evidence if I find that. But it seems that the victim did not answer any of the calls from the defendant, so I don't have any call recordings at this time.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will continue this matter and we'll begin with continuing Palmer's testimony or cross-examination testimony at the next available date. Let's see. We have
September 8th at 8:30.
September 8th at 8:30 work for everybody.
I can do that.
I believe so, Your Honor. I think it's gonna be just another, we're starting to get those days built up too, so just, I always appreciate the court's patience with me as I bounce around.
I didn't hear what you said.
I appreciate the court's patience with me as I bounce around, because I think it may be happening the 8th as well.
You got something else going on there, of
I
course.
believe we had something scheduled this morning and afterwards, but I will get it figured out. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sounds
That will
good.
work. Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds good. So we'll see everybody at 8:30 in the morning on September 8th. Any additional matters today?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Not from the fence. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're all set for today. Join the witness.
Yeah.